Hey everyone, please listen to this important message that Henry has to share.
Hello, my mama says bad words.
So please make sure to wear your earmuffs for this week's episode. Finding the right jeans is hard. Accepting your jeans is even harder.
Whether you wear boyfriend or boot cut, high rise or low rise, this podcast will teach you to love the jeans you are in. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tina. And we're going to use modern research to bust diet myths and get real about body after baby.
We're going to take you on a journey of unpacking your old beliefs about food and weight so you can learn to nourish your body and raise body-confident kids.
So put your booty in a chair and let's talk mom jeans.
We are in a series called Your Story, where our guests will be sharing the story of healing their relationship with their body. Each person's story is unique to them, and we are humbled by their vulnerability and willingness to join us in this space. As a result, we will not be editing out as many numbers, specific behaviors, or details as we normally would. If anyone's story has details that trigger you due to your healing journey, please press pause and take care of yourself. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. All right, let's jump to our episode. We are having an awesome story being shared with us today by Sandra Olinger, who is both a music and mom blogger, as she chats about body image and her Latina heritage. Our conversation today really brought home the idea that body image starts in the mind, not the body. Body image is a mental exploration of how we view ourselves, and healing comes not from external change or validation, but really from our internal dialogue, our self-perception, and acceptance of our genes with a G and genes with a J.
We love this definition of body image from the Mental Health Foundation. Body image is a term that can be used to describe how we think and feel about our bodies. Having body image concerns is a relatively common experience and is not a mental health problem in and of itself. However, it can be a risk factor for mental health problems. Research has found that higher body dissatisfaction is associated with a poor quality of life, psychological distress, and the risk of unhealthy eating behaviors and eating disorders.
Oof. Yeah, so body image is really important. That's why we do what we do in our occupations and with this podcast, because we're so passionate about helping people do the work of healing their body story. Doing this by exploring the layers of societal messaging, racism, fatphobia, and family messaging is so important to understand the influences on our body image so that we can reframe and heal. This is hard but necessary work, and it leads to living with more freedom with our relationship with food, our relationship with movement, and our activities of daily living. Learning how to have body positivity, or at least body neutrality, is a key component to our mental health and will help us answer the tough questions that our children ask as they grow up and notice other people's bodies, and hear the confusing messages about health and nutrition in schools and in our judgmental society.
In our interview today, you will hear us discuss Sandra's powerful essay about racism and the conversations about her and her daughter's different skin color. We will link her article in the show notes, but we love how her story highlights the concept of intersectionality, coined by Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989 to describe how race, class, gender, and other individual characteristics intersect with one another and overlap. Originally used to showcase discrimination in the court system during the Women's March in 2016, it became a more mainstream conversation used to explore how people have individual identities that intersect in ways that impact how they are viewed, understood, and treated. From body image internally to how we are viewed externally, there are many layers to who we are.
We also want to point out that we understand that weight stigma exists and that marginalization, racism, and social injustice is not likely to go away anytime soon, unfortunately. We know that the power of positive thinking doesn't change an entire system of injustice, so we are not going to naively suggest anything along those lines. Rather, sharing our stories in this series and doing healing work internally focuses on the only thing that we can change, and that's our perception of ourselves and our internal narrative.
We hope that hearing Sandra's still developing story, how she is presently navigating healing her body image, and how she is in the beginning of this journey with her daughter will resonate with you. A little background on Sandra Olinger before we get started. Sandra is the founder of the Los Angeles-based music lifestyle blog Grimy Goods, which is a hip resource featuring all things indie music, concerts, music festivals, and all the cool things that come along with that world. While pregnant with her daughter, she launched an alternative motherhood brand, So Modern Life, where she shares her personal lifestyle as a new Latina mama, wife, blogger, and content creator. She wants So Modern Life to be a community that empowers mothers and parents through engaging content. Hashtag real talk and social transparency. Just because you have a child, it does not mean that your life ends.
I don't know. That might be up for debate over here.
All right, let's get to it.
All right. Well, welcome to our episode, Sandra. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're so excited to hear your story. But first, we are going to jump in by catching you off guard a little bit. And we're going to ask you, what is a fun fact about yourself that you want to share with our audience?
Fun fact about myself. I wish I could show them, but I have a short middle finger. You guys can see.
Oh, yeah, you do. That is
I
fun.
can.
I was born that way, I think, or either it stopped growing. But when I was younger in college,
Interesting.
we go to parties and get drunk, I would always pretend I was an alien and I was magical, and that this is that I would go on and on and on for like half hour with conversations about it, and yeah. It was funny but entertaining, and sometimes people would get scared.
Yeah.
Now you can just trip your daughter out. Now you can be like, this is mommy's magic. I can
like
see
the
you at all
true-
times.
Oh, I
know what's happening.
I always tell her, because mommy has eyes behind
That's
her
awesome.
head too.
You just can't see my hair's covering them. Yeah. I love it. Awesome. Well, we are going to just kick right off and jump into your story. So we want to hear a little bit about the story of healing your body or your body image journey and what that's been like for you.
Well, growing up, I'm a Latina, first generation. My mom was from Peru. My dad's from Mexico. And my mom was very traditional, like old school, while we were raised. She's done huge leaps and turns. But image and being beautiful, not having blemishes on your face, dressing like a lady, not wrestling with your brothers, not being too fat, not being too skinny was always like, something that was always, I guess, embedded in my head for so long, and that's just how it was back then, especially, and a lot of Latinas will tell you the same too, like looking good and presentable. And I remember anytime I'd get like a blemish on my face, my mom's like, what did you do? Like, oh my goodness, like you've been eating too much fat. And I'm like, okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm going through puberty.
Yeah.
But so there was always that. And I think that kind of, influenced me to grow, and not to mention growing up in Southern California in the 90s, good Lord, where curves weren't even in yet, it was a whole Kate Moss look. But that kind of influenced me to be very concerned about my looks, my body image, even judgy, things that had to be undone and unlearned. But yeah, my mom was always sweet and very encouraging and just awesome. But, everyone has their things, and those are things I had to change within myself, and she had to change too. So like many, especially Southern California girls, I think a lot, especially like over the 90s, had a lot of body image issues. And I did. Nothing like too bad, but, I did go through a phase. It was actually right before I met my husband, and after a breakup where I think all I drank was juice, green juice. And I would juice so much, but that I literally like messed up my stomach lining. And it was bad for a while, but But anyways, that's a whole different thing. But but actually becoming a mother and watching the transition of my body and what it does actually completely helped my view on my body, other women's bodies, understanding how our bodies work, and like everyone says, how magical a woman's body really is, how it could transform, how it could shift, metamorphose up and down. It's constant roller coaster. And for me, that's what motherhood has been. My goodness, like a constant roller coaster of everything and body. But it's motherhood, I would say, helped me accept my body in all of its softness and hardness, helped me accept the fact that Victoria tore me of all my muscles everywhere, literally. But and taught me patience and to give myself grace and not to be so hard on myself, because there were so many, that first year and a half, 2 years, I hated my body. Like even my husband would tell you, like, I'd be like, I hate these boobs. They're so big and they're so, they've always been big, but now they're even bigger and they're so saggy. And look at this. I have no muscle on my arms, like just constantly berating myself, and I think that's normal for any woman, like when, especially growing up how I did, but now I'm in a good spot. Like, ever since we stopped breastfeeding and my body got used to not producing milk and not hanging on to the fat either. So it's made me feel better, and also to be able stronger, which is such a big thing because I just didn't have any strength either, especially pelvic area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happiest than I've ever been now that I get to work out a lot too at home, because that's always been important to me. And as a mom, a work from home mom, I just never find any good harmony to work out, grow my business, be a good mother, do all these things that's expected of us. So working out was always on the back burner for me, which is very important to me still, like for health reasons, and most importantly too, to be strong for Victoria and keep up with her. But yeah, like I gave myself grace. I'm like, you know what? This is just another phase of my life, just like everything. And, I'm happy with this body and what it did. I think it's beautiful. I love what it did. But I also love that other body that's toned and strong and can keep up with my daughter and can go up and down the stairs 100 times without huffing and puffing and grab her bottle, grab her this, grab her that, because that was very hard too at the postpartum phase, just not having any strength and much endurance.
Right. It sounds like the phase of motherhood, that beginning period, kind of blossoms some compassion. And I want to validate that, like, that change is difficult. And I think if listeners go back to, which episode is that, Rachel, you're feeding boobs? I don't know which number it is.
Yeah,
but
with Lauren.
Rachel's good at that. Yeah. That it explains why we feel softer and, why we hold on to more fat. We're producing more prolactin and our body is releasing relaxin. So because you just had a baby and your muscles need to be relaxed to be able to actually have a baby.
Oh my God, that makes so much
sense.
Right?
So you hold on to more fat so that you can feed your baby, and you release this hormone relaxin so that you could push the baby out if that's the natural way that it happened. But in that after postpartum phase, you're still producing those hormones. So that makes sense why it's like, oh, I don't feel as strong, and the frustration around that. But it sounds like with all of that experience, you came to the recognition of like, I'm going to have more compassion with myself because my body just did something that's so freaking amazing that I could either choose to hate it and berate it, or I can come from this compassionate place and try to move forward from there. So that's awesome.
Exactly. Like, it was hard. And like, to be honest, my husband, Brian, was so supportive and inspirational and encouraging and made me feel beautiful constantly, especially when I was just like pulling and grabbing at all these new curves that I just loathed.
I'm curious, you mentioned your family values and cultural values about appearance when you were growing up, but I'm curious if there's any of those that translated into then pressure about the postpartum body or the mom bod. Like, what does the Latinx community have to say or culture have to say about the mom bod?
Yeah, actually my mother was, oh my gosh, my mother's been with me every day, not every day, at least once a week ever since Victoria was born, helping me 1 to twice a week. But she was so supportive and made me so happy. And to this day, she's still like so supportive of my changing body. And she's been with me through all the ups and downs, and, you know, to embrace it, take your time, be with your daughter, like, you know, take it all in. But it was quite the 360 from growing up, where you're raised to be very care about your looks and look pretty always, and to now where my mom's like, dude, who cares? Like, you know what you just did? She's like, you are beautiful. You're feeding your child. Like, take your time. Your time will come. But she was so supportive about that, and still is. So that was awesome.
So I wonder what changed.
I think the times, and also growing up with me, like, I've always been very progressive and forward thinking, and empowering women, you know, mainly and especially through my music blog. But I think that's what it was for her. Having a daughter that was the polar opposite from her was quite the experience, but such a learning tool for her. So she's always changed, you know, over time, and especially now more than ever. Like, just having conversations with her and educating her on lots of things.
So I think that literally is rewriting your story, where your mom was maybe following her generation pressures or just engaging in learned behaviors, and you could have either just mimicked that, or it sounds like with your education and your progressive thinking and compassion and everything else, by communicating that to your mom is taking that in and also rewriting her story. So now
exactly,
her granddaughter can grow up in a better environment, a more compassionate environment, and also just for herself, she can be a little bit more compassionate to her body. So I think that's awesome. You literally are living proof of that, rewriting that family legacy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, that she's taught me so much, and now I'm having the opportunity to teach her things too.
That's awesome. Yeah. So you've mentioned a couple times about your business and how you work from home and the multitasking and pressures that we as parents face. So can you tell us a little bit about Grisly Diapers, which is kind of your like shift off from Grimy Goods? Yeah. And what made you start that platform?
Well, I started Grisly Diapers, which is probably going to be renamed just to, well, the website's called SO, as in Sandra Olinger, but also as in So Modern Life. And my Instagram was Grisly Diapers because it was a play off of my music blog, Grimy Goods. And well, we all know what grimy diapers are. But I think it was just, I had such a change from the face of Grimy Goods, being so into music, underground music, indie music, the whole Los Angeles concert scene, and having a persona there, one that was very, I guess tough. I had to be, because it was a very male-dominated world, still is. But so when I did Grisly Diapers, I wanted a place where I went through such a change, and I knew I needed to understand becoming a mother more, and Instagram was a fantastic, you know, community for that. I'm still blown away, and I can't believe I'm even saying that. But I made such great motherhood connections. But and I wanted a place to reveal myself more, not just music and not just an occasional personal post on my Grimy Goods Instagram. I wanted people to know that, hey, there's an actual person behind here. Sure, I love music and supporting smaller independent artists, but I also like travel. I like food. I like clothes. And I really like talking about, you know, social issues, and I have my parenting style, and I want to find more mothers like me. But it was mainly a place for that, and to connect with other women and to find my tribe, I guess, you know, because I had never felt such a loss of identity as I did with motherhood, which sounds sad to say, but I did. Like, I was so lost that first year. Like, oh, how do I meet moms? Like, okay. And I'm pretty much always, I like black clothes a lot and just minimalist clothes. I was like wearing these floral dresses and everything, which is nothing wrong with, but that's just not my style. It's just an example of how, like, you know, you are lost when you become a new mom, and trying to find your place in motherhood in a big city too, and meeting people that will enrich and inspire your children through their children, you know, and the experiences that they grow together. But yeah. So, and then I figured, wow, there is quite the money to be made in motherhood on Instagram. So I was like, dang, I could make more a year almost on Grimy Goods. And I had stopped doing my main full-time job, which was always digital marketing, for like 10, 15 years. So I cut down my hours quite a lot. So I needed to make up for that in a place where I could still work from home. And then I was just finding the things that worked for me in motherhood, the brands I liked, and I was sharing those. And then I started getting paid for a lot of my Instagram posts and blog posts. And now it's moved into where I want it to go, where I don't have to share on my Instagram. I'm just more so creating videos and photography and blog posts for brands that don't necessarily have to be shared on my platform. Like I just produced and directed, actually. Brian was my DP. And a Green Chef commercial, and I did cast, everything, talent, everything. And it was a cool experience, very stressful too, because it was during COVID. So it was in our house. We had to have like, you know, a bunch of redesigns for the shoot, one too, but also make everything safe and COVID friendly, I guess. But so yeah, Grimy Diapers has been awesome.
That's sweet. Yeah, I would definitely check out Grimy Diapers, Grimy Goods for sure. Yeah.
Hey listeners, we wanted to take a minute to tell you about our sponsor for this season, Dia & Co. Dia believes that great style is a part of a life well lived. Their styling service and shop exclusively serves women sizes 14 to 32 with clothing that offers exceptional quality and fit. If you are listening to this podcast, that probably means you're on the journey of learning to embrace your jeans to the G. So finding the right jeans or other amazing wardrobe staples might be the perfect next step. Dia was founded by a plus-size woman who saw the need for fashion-forward options that actually have your body in mind. To help you feel fabulous in your mom bod, they're offering our listeners an exclusive discount savings. To get your 30% off discount, head to www.dia.com, that's spelled D-I-A, and use our code MOMGENES, MOMGENES. You can try the clothes on in the comfort of your own home, keep what you like, and always get free shipping and returns. Dia is excited to be working with us this season and helping you love the jeans you are in. So check out our social media at Mom Jeans the Podcast for more information and links to their company pages, or head to the website for our listeners, www.dia.com, and use code MOMJEANS to receive 30% off of your Dia order. Okay, back to our episode. You wrote an amazing article on parents.com, and you talked a lot about raising your daughter in Los Angeles and what that was like to be raising a Latina daughter and in this culture, and then also finding a group of moms that you felt like you could really that could be your tribe. And so I'm curious if you could share a little bit about like just that piece of motherhood, and then also what it's like as far as like having your family legacy be changed, or your body story, or imparting any of your learned wisdom onto your daughter as you raise her.
That one was a personal essay of my experience. What was our title called? Like how my experience with racism in my own childhood taught my daughter the difference of skin tones or something along those lines. I can't even remember my title. But yeah, it was basically, I grew up in a very white town, predominantly white, and it was an awesome town. There's a bunch of good people, but there was like many people, there's a lot of passive aggressive, racism. And I didn't at the time know like how much all that hurt until now, like recounting on all that. But yeah, it's been a great experience and tool. Like my skin is so much darker than Victoria's. It looks pretty nice here in this light. I mean, it is nice too, always, although I do have different motherhood wrinkles and different skin tones now on my face. But so what was I saying? Oh yeah, so Victoria, since an early age, always noticed that my skin was much darker than hers, and especially during the summer. or during the winter it would get lighter. And she would always say, Mama, what color are you? And I was like, how is she asking me this? She just turned 2, you know, like blah, blah, blah. So she was very aware of it. And I would always explain to her, like, what do I say? Because I didn't know what to say. This was like a year ago. And I said, well, mama is brown because Nana is brown and Buela's brown. And I would explain to them where they're from. And then she would always refer to herself as Peach, white and peach like daddy. Yeah, it was a great conversation starter, even though I didn't even know that it was a tool too to teach your child to be anti-racist. At the time, I had no idea until, you know, I think the current climate where we've all been learning so much and educating ourselves. And yeah, I just dove into my childhood experiences. And, you know, I remember I got a lot of hate for the article too from people I grew up with that were white, that of course didn't understand. And it's like, well, how am I going to speak up a 16, 17-year-old like, hey guys, it's not nice to call somebody that because I'm part Mexican, especially when, you know, you feel dominated by people that don't look like you. No one's going to speak up about that, you know, so everything came out later, you know, and then realizing that that wasn't right, you know, calling me that or calling my brother that or my friend this, like, it's not cool. But most of all, the article got a lot of praise, which was great. And I think a lot of people were able to relate. And I was surprised at how many I grew up with, actually, that also went to the same high school, you know, that also related, you know, my Korean best friend, one of my East Indian friends, another Black friend. Everyone was like, I'm so glad you wrote this. I went through the same thing there. I'm like, yeah, I wish we would have talked about it more when we were younger. But that experience was great to teach Victoria. Yeah, there's some positive out of it.
Well, the reason I asked about it too was, I mean, first of all, that was an amazing article and very well written, and I just loved your insight. But two, also because when we're talking to so many people about their body story, there's so many layers. There's layers of our culture, of our race, of where we grew up, of our family stories, of our family's relationships. So it's more than just, you know, weight. And so I love that you were able to kind of speak on that in that article. And thank you for sharing just how that's kind of a part of not only your identity process, but then also, you know, it's going to be part of like you're raising your daughter, like so many different layers. Like, hey, body acceptance looks like 5 different things, more than that.
Yeah. And that's so true, because there's a lot of pet names, like, and they're meant out of affection. Growing up a Latina and Hispanic cultures, like when you are fuller and have curves, you're called gordita, which means chubby. It's meant completely out of love. And when you're really skinny or really tall, you're called flaca. I've been called in my family, just because, you know, a lot of us are roller coasters with our body. When my weight's down, oh, you're too skinny, flaca. When my weight's up, gordita or gorda. And gorda is more me. But although they were cute, I never liked them, you know. And I even caught myself saying it once to my daughter, because those chubby, cute legs when they're babies. And I was like, gordita. I'm like, no, I don't want to say that to her, because it'll give her a complex like it gave me a complex. So I immediately corrected myself. And I'm like, I know that's meant out of love. And I just want to nibble on those legs at the time and say that. But, you know, but it was at a point where she was totally understanding what I'm saying, because she's always been very talkative. So I just cut myself from saying that. And yeah, I haven't called her that ever since, because I don't want her to, you know. And instead I'll say like, oh, I love your cute little butt and those little thighs are so cute, you know, or I love your cute belly. And I say that to her constantly because it's so cute.
Yeah, I think it's about the reframe of like, we need to figure out different ways to express our love and obsession for our kids and their bodies and all of that. And so, I mean, I keep coming back to the rewriting of that legacy where, yes, these are trained behaviors. And in that training, you're really trying to rewrite it. So
yeah,
it's hard. It is so hard.
It is. You catch yourself.
So what's the why for having the relationship you have now with your body?
Well, one, I'm not going through any of that postpartum stuff or postpartum anxiety or any of that, because that is also another whole thing. Whatever you're going through mentally will make your body issues even worse, you know. But I'm just in a very great place. Like, I'm happy with myself, but also like connecting with other women on Instagram has really helped. Seeing that there's other women like me too. And like, definitely making relationships with and hanging with more women like me. Like, a lot of the people I grew up with too we're all beach people, very into image and how you look, and a lot still are today. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with working out and, love your body in any shape it is. But there felt like a lot of pressure. I don't hang out with those people much, maybe once in a while, like I just feel there's just so much more variety here where I live in Los Angeles. And changing who you surround yourself with as well was very great on that. But giving myself grace, like that's said so much in the motherhood world, but it's so true. Who cares if like I'm softer now? I will probably be hard again in like a year, and I will probably be soft again. But no matter what, like I'm awesome. And just knowing that, like everything I've done, go building a baby and giving birth to a baby, and then raising a good human and working and doing all that, like that is so much. Like what we do is so much, and just the support from others that also go through this has been so helpful and so crucial to accepting my body in any shape and form.
So it sounds like the why is you.
We usually ask the people we interview, what's the greatest lesson you've learned about body acceptance? To me, I feel like you answered it a little bit just now about like understanding the phases our bodies go through and having compassion. But is there anything else you feel like you would want to add to that question?
Even when you are so down on yourself and see yourself as like just are in a bad place, and you hate your body after having a child, and the great transition it's done, especially if you've already had curves on top, to begin with, that you are way more critical on yourself, and almost like you're hallucinating sometimes by seeing things that really aren't there. And, it's all you, I've learned, and once you can get over that hump and put that confidence back in you and accept your body, every little step I did helped me. So even if, my daily walks were so amazing for me, like just to think and like manifest when I went walking. And that, I think that helped my confidence a lot, just being in motion. And, But I think we're our own worst critics when it comes to our body. And the things we see, especially first year postpartum, we're just going to be so harsh on ourselves because it's such a transition. But
My favorite quote is, body image is in the mind, not in the body.
That is awesome. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
Yes.
It is. It's our perception of our bodies. So what would you share to moms or parents listening who are also navigating this journey?
I would say, do you, as long as you're happy. Whether, like my best friend, when I was talking to her about my, postpartum fitness and everything, I'm like, gosh, it's like, almost takes forever just to get more muscle tone. She's like, girl, like I took it took me 6 years to finally, get in gear. She's like, take your time, do what you got to do, take care of your family, take care of your child, grow your business, and she was growing a business at the same time. And, and that's the truth. Just, don't worry about everybody else. Cause a lot of that, insecurities come too. Like, what is that person thinking of my new body? I can't go to this concert because I used to look great in this outfit and I can't even wear it now. That was a lot of me, going back into the music scene. But just don't give an F about anybody else, and just keep thinking of what you've done, and that you literally can do anything. If pregnancy and birth is not proof enough for you, like, I don't know, do it again, because I think you could literally do anything after that huge mental and physical metamorphosis. So
for sure.
But
anything specific you would want to share to the Latina community who is navigating this journey or trying to rewrite that cultural legacy?
If you don't feel comfortable with something that you were raised with, speak up. It took a lot for me to tell my mom, and I told her this like maybe 3-4 years ago, how vanity kind of really messed me up for a bit. And I told her, like, and I'm still opening up to things about, that I tell her that, hey, this was, kind of gave me some issues. But yeah, like, speak up, tell your parents, tell your mom, tell your sister, and start having them unlearn it. Start giving them, okay, instead of saying this, why don't you say this, because those things do affect us. And if you are having children, you don't want to continue that same pattern. But yeah, speak up and talk to your family about it, even if it's uncomfortable. Just how a lot of families today, especially white people, are having to talk to their families, their friends, their coworkers about very, very uncomfortable issues. So nothing good comes out of anything easy. And I think everything takes work. So if it's uncomfortable, but you're seeing progress, it's worth it. So speak up, talk to your families.
I know that coming from a family that is very strong in its negative talk about food and bodies, it's very uncomfortable to have those conversations. So even you saying that is encouraging me to sometimes try to have more courage and ask for that, because you're right about the relearning, the unlearning and the relearning. Like, I try to have so much sympathy for different generations who were raised in different times and different cultures and different levels of research and education on things. And they were taught something, and now they do have to unlearn it, and now they do have to relearn it based on more up-to-date information and hopefully more of a tolerant society as well. So it is uncomfortable. I do appreciate your encouragement to everyone to have some of that courage, because it is important and it is really hard.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be like all at once. It could be like little things. Like, I've done baby steps with my mom through everything, because I don't want to make her feel bad either. She's breaking a pattern of what she was raised with. It's all such archaic patterns, and that's pretty much what we're living right now too. All these old archaic patterns that need to get broken and rebuilt into something more positive. So,
well, where can our listeners find you if they want more information?
You can find me on @Grisly Diapers, GRIMY Diapers, on Instagram. And if you just go there, you'll see all my 2 blogs and my other Instagram, Grimy Goods. But yeah, and I love connecting with moms and anyone that loves good music.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, yeah, your Grimy Goods site.
Thank you.
Go check that out as well. Nothing to do with parents, but some solid coping skills on there to research music and what's available.
Good music to get you through the day of parenting or hour-long breastfeeding.
Exactly.
So Blippi is not on there.
Who's Blippi?
Blippi is not on there, no.
Oh.
I'm like, wait, who's Blippi?
Okay. Well, awesome. Thanks, Sandra, for coming on. You are fabulous.
Thank you so much, you guys. This was great.
Thank you for joining us.
We hope you felt inspired and moved by this week's story. Please reach out to the person interviewed to connect with them in the ways they listed, or you can check out our social media pages @MomJeans the podcast for details on the episode and to find our guests' information. If you love the episode, please leave us a rating and review us on iTunes and recommend this episode to a friend. We are sending you the inner strength to accept your jeans with a G and wear the jeans with a J. Bye. This episode of Mom Jeans was produced and edited by Rachel Coleman and Tina LeBoy.
Just a reminder, this episode is not a substitute for therapeutic counsel or nutrition advice.
Thank you to Jerry DePizzo for the music production.
You can find episode information and show notes at www.momjeansthepodcast.com.
Follow us on Instagram @MomJeansThePodcast and join the Mom Jeans the Podcast Facebook group to find a community of mamas learning to love their bodies and discussing the episodes. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Mom Jeans. See you next time.